Hey, what's up, everyone? We are back with more of Learning Russian with Learn Russian. So, that last lesson, in my opinion, was not especially difficult. It was just a bit long. It kind of went on for a long time. In my opinion, it went on unnecessarily long because it was a very simple concept. It was just about that one word, katori, which is really a very simple word, and understanding how to use that word is, I think, something that you didn't need to drill for more than an hour. Um, by contrast, we're coming up now to a rather difficult concept. Um, it's not necessarily difficult, but, well, you know what? I'm getting ahead of myself. Before I actually start on this lesson, let me go ahead and finish what I forgot to finish last time. So in lesson 28, which we did in the previous video, there's this nice little poem at the end that they give to you about the house that Jack built. And I forgot to actually finish the poem because I was so flustered for time. So let's go ahead and listen to the whole narration of that entire poem.
Вот дом, который построил Джек. А это пшеница, которая в темном чулане хранится, в доме, который построил Джек. А это веселая птица-синица, которая часто ворует пшеницу, которая в темном чулане хранится, в доме, который построил Джек. Вот кот, который пугает и ловит синицу, которая часто ворует пшеницу, которая в темном чулане хранится, в доме, который построил Джек. Вот пес без хвоста, который за шиворот треплет кота, который пугает и ловит синицу, которая часто ворует пшеницу, которая в темном чулане хранится, в доме, который построил Джек. А это корова безрогая, легнувшая старого пса без хвоста, который за шиворот треплет кота, который пугает и ловит синицу, которая часто ворует пшеницу, которая в темном чулане хранится, в доме, который построил Джек. А эта старушка, седая и строгая, которая доит корову безрогую, легнувшую старого пса без хвоста, который за шиворот треплет кота, который пугает и ловит синицу, которая часто ворует пшеницу, которая в темном чулане хранится, в доме, который построил Джек. А это ленивый и толстый пастух, который бранится с коровницей строгою, которая доит корову безрогую, легнувшую старого пса без хвоста, который за шиворот треплет кота, который пугает и ловит синицу, которая часто ворует пшеницу, которая в темном чулане хранится, в доме, который построил Джек. Вот два петуха, которые будят того пастуха, который бранится с коровницей строгою, которая доит корову безрогую, легнувшую старого пса без хвоста, который за шиворот треплет кота, который пугает и ловит синицу, которая часто ворует пшеницу, которая в темном чулане хранится, в доме, который построил Джек.
I get the feeling that even that woman narrating the poem was getting tired of doing it at the end. I think she was kind of tired of listing all that stuff. Anyway, there you go. So now the business has been done. Now we've finished listening to the lady narrating the entire poem. I think they must have changed some of the words to make it rhyme in Russian, because you notice the endings of many of those lines did rhyme with each other. They did form several rhyming couplets, so I think they must have changed some of those objects to rhyme in Russian. Anyway, so coming back to current business. So lesson 29 is about, processes and results, imperfective and perfective aspects of verbs. Now, this is not a concept which really exists in English. It's not a linguistic concept that exists in English. So this is one of those things that does not come very easily to native English speakers because it's not something that you have in your native language. It's kind of like, if you think about, imagine for Russians, as you've seen, Russian does not have any word like the. So it's very difficult for Russians who are learning English to understand when they should write the and when they shouldn't. Because it's not something they really have a feel for. If you're a native English speaker, you just sort of have a feel for when you say the and when you don't. But Russians really have a hard time getting that feel, and they often overcompensate by saying the when they don't have to, and sometimes they may not say the when they should. So, like, for example, a typical English sentence might be, The weather is sunny today. Russians might say weather is sunny today because they don't know that you should say the. They're not sure if you should say the at the beginning. Or as a counterexample, they might say oh, I don't know. What's an example? A Russian might say, "I'm going on the vacation." Now, in English, you say, "I'm going on vacation," but to Russians, they might think, well, you should have an article there, and so they say, "I'm going on the vacation," which is not correct. That's not normally how you say it in English, but it's just one of those things that Russians have a very hard time getting used to. They don't know when you should say the and when you shouldn't. Well, for us, we have the same problem with this, imperfective and perfective parts of verbs. Basically, okay, let's take this one step at a time. Before I start trying to explain it, let's go ahead and this is you'll learn to distinguish between imperfective and perfective verbs, learn how to form perfective verbs and use them in different meanings. Yeah. Okay, before we actually start explaining anything, let's go ahead and listen to this dialogue, because this dialogue will include some aspects of perfective and imperfective verbs. So let's go ahead and listen through, and then we'll fill in the blanks. So we have the director, who I think gets into conversations with various different people.
Кирилл, ты уже написал отчет? Дмитрий Владимирович, еще нет. У меня было много работы, но я уже пишу. И когда ты напишешь его? Мне он нужен был вчера. Через 4 часа я напишу его. Так, через 2 часа я жду отчет у меня на столе. Все понятно? Да, Дмитрий Владимирович. Так, Сергей, а ты уже сделал новый договор? Вот, делаю. Еще чуть-чуть. Меня не интересует, что ты делаешь. Меня интересует, почему ты не сделал.
Дмитрий Владимирович, ваша жена звонит.
Да, моя дорогая, как ты?
Ты уже купил мне новое кольцо?
Вот-вот, уже еду, уже покупаю, мой зайчик.
Почему ты мне не купил кольцо? Ты обещал, что сегодня утром купишь, а уже 3 часа дня. Я хочу кольцо.
Ну я уже еду, через час буду дома с кольцом. Все, мой пупсик, целую.
Oh, my poopsick. Okay. All right, so let's go ahead and start at the beginning. So, director says...
Кирилл, ты уже написал отчет?
So, Kirill is probably this guy's name, the guy we see in the picture. Kirill, ты уже написал отчет. You already wrote the report.
Дмитрий Владимирович, еще нет.
Дмитрий Владимирович, not yet.
У меня было много работы, но
I had a lot of work.
я уже пишу.
Но я уже пишу. Notice the different verbs used here. So here the director is using написать to mean, did you finish writing the report? Kirill is saying пишет to mean not finish writing the report, but writing the report. Here's our first inkling of the difference between perfective and imperfective aspects of verbs.
И когда ты напишешь его?
И когда ты напишешь его?
Мне он нужен был вчера.
And when will you have finished it? We needed it yesterday, or we needed him yesterday because отчет is masculine. So, again, напишет, or well, here not напишешь because it's ты, but напишет is to have finished writing the report.
Через 4 часа я напишу его.
Я напишу. In 4 hours, I напишу him. I напишет the report, meaning not I will write the report in 4 hours, but in 4 hours I will have finished writing the report.
Так, через 2 часа я жду отчет у меня на столе.
And the director says, yeah, after 2 hours, I'll be waiting for the report on my table.
Все понятно?
Do you understand?
Да, Дмитрий Владимирович.
Yes, Dmitry Vladimirovich.
Так, Сергей, а ты уже сделал новый договор?
And Sergey, and you already сделал новый договор. Sergey, did you already make the new contract?
Вот, делаю.
Вот делаю. Вот делаю. Here, I'm doing it right now.
Еще чуть-чуть.
Еще чуть-чуть. There is still a little bit, like there's still a little bit left to do. Once again, notice the difference. So the director used the word сделал. You did the new contract. Sergey says делаю. I'm doing it. Again, you see the difference between, obviously, I mean, it's a pretty clear distinction, right? There's a difference between I am doing it and I have done it.
Меня не интересует, что ты делаешь.
Мне не интересует, что ты делаешь. It doesn't interest me what you're doing.
Меня интересует, почему ты не сделал.
Мне интересует, почему ты не сделал. It interests me why you didn't do it. Doesn't interest me what you're doing. What interests me is why you didn't do it.
Дмитрий Владимирович, ваша жена звонит.
Dmitry Vladimirovich, your wife is calling.
Да, моя дорогая, как ты?
Yes, my dear, how are you?
Ты уже купил мне новое кольцо?
Ага, ты уже купил мне новое кольцо. You already bought me new ring.
Вот-вот, уже еду, уже покупаю, мой зайчик.
Вот-вот, уже еду. I'm already going. Уже купил, мой зайчик. I'm already going. I'm already buying my bunny rabbit.
Почему ты мне не купил кольцо? Ты обещал, что...
Почему ты мне не куп... Oh, sorry. This is купил. This is купил. He was saying уже покупаю. I'm already buying. So I buy as покупаю, and then she says не купил. You didn't buy it yet.
Что сегодня утром купишь, а уже 3 часа дня. Я хочу кольцо.
Ну я уже еду, через час буду дома с кольцом. Все, мой пупсик, целую.
So, ты обещал, you promised, что сегодня утром, that today morning, купишь, you buy. Уже 3 часа дня, and it's already 3 o'clock during the day, meaning 3 p.m. in the afternoon. Я хочу кольцо. I want a ring. Ну, я уже еду. Well, I'm already going. Через час буду дома с кольцом. In an hour, I will be at home with ring. Все, мой пупсик. That's all, my baby darling. Целую. Kisses. And that was that. So I think this dialogue was actually a good introduction because you can very clearly see where this whole thing is going with perfective and imperfective verbs. It's usually, you can usually kind of understand it as the difference between I'm doing something, or he's doing something, or somebody's doing something, and somebody did something, somebody finished something. Now, this is not strictly correct. There are different cases and different sort of aspects to this idea. If you come down here, where is it? Yeah, here we go. If you click on full here, let me click on full and open up a different window here. So basically, the yeah, so here we go. So here, table of difference between two aspects. So the imperfective is about the process. I'm doing something. And then the perfective is about the result. I did something. Something was done. Imperfective is also used to mean that something is done regularly. So for example, if you say, every weekend I walk in the park. That's not a process that's done once. That's something that you do regularly. Whereas if something happens only once, I got married, that's something you do only once. Well, not these days. These days you might get married several times, but I mean that's it's a process that only happens once. So and then simultaneity of different actions, several things happening at once, whereas this is a sequence of actions. So these are different sort of ways of thinking about imperfective and perfective. But the simplest way, the most obvious way, is usually when a process is the imperfective and then the result is the perfective. There's also, again, going back to Wiktionary. Wiktionary has a nice glossary where it describes these a little bit. So, for example, perfective, the aspect of a verb. Perfective is the aspect of a verb which denotes viewing the event the verb describes as a completed whole rather than from within the event as it unfolds. For example, she sat down as opposed to she was sitting down. So the focus is on the completion. It's focused on the process as a unitary thing, as a discrete thing, rather than I don't know. I don't know if I can make it any clearer than I've already made it. I think if I say more words, now I'm going to start messing it up. And then where's the imperfective here? Imperfective. An aspect of the verb which denotes an action or condition that does not have a fixed temporal boundary, but is habitual, unfinished, continuous, repetitive, or in progress. Common in Slavic languages such as Russian. Don't confuse the perfective with perfect. A perfect tense is when you say something like, I have opened the door, or I have read this book. That is something a bit different. I don't know. I don't know if I can really describe this using words that make it more clear than it already is. I think this is something that you'll just have to kind of get used to. I think it's if you're going to really learn Russian properly, you just have to use these for a while and kind of get used to how Russians use them and don't use them. So there are some more examples here. I don't know if they help. On rysует картину, he is painting the painting, versus on нарисовал картину, he painted the painting. And then on пишет versus on написал, he's writing versus he wrote. On читает versus on прочитал, he is reading versus he finished reading it. And then они слушают музыку, they are listening to music, versus сначала он послушал музыку, they listened to music. So it's not always easy. I mean, these examples I think are pretty easy. These examples very clear. These examples make it very clear. There's a difference between doing something and having done something. But it's not always about that. That's not the only part of perfective versus imperfective verbs in Russian. There are other situations where you might use these as well. So it's not quite as clear cut as it might seem at this point. But let's see what we can make out of this. So, Kirill еще something отчет. Kirill already wrote the report. So this has to be then perfective, because this is suggesting that he finished it. And so here we go. So here we have imperfective on the left and perfective on the right. So for right, down here we have right. Oh, my web browser is being a little silly and doesn't highlight text properly. But if you look at the third line from the bottom, that's to right. So perfective is napisat. So we have написал. He already написал the report. Сергей еще не something договоров. So he did not already finish it. He did not already do it. So to do something is, where's сделал? Oh, is it not here? Unless I'm missing it, I don't think it's in this list. Yeah, okay. But anyway, to do something, сделал is, well, we can look at the dialogue here. So, yeah, ты уже сделал, you already did the report. So here сделал is perfective. Did you do the report? And then Dmitry Vladimirovich еще не, so he didn't yet buy the ring. Ты уже купил. Купил the ring is perfective, and then жена ждет мужа домой. So wife is waiting for husband at home with кольцом. She's waiting for him with the, oh no? Okay. I appear to have made a mistake. What is my mistake? What is my error? Let me check. Let me check the answers, and hopefully I will be able to spot my mistake. So, oh, I mixed up. For some reason, I mixed up еще and уже. So I interpreted this as already wrote something, but no, already is уже. This is actually еще. Еще means still. He is still writing. So he didn't finish writing the report. He is still writing the report. And then it should be пишет. He еще пишет. He is still writing. Okay, that was my mistake. Everything else appears to be correct. That's why we have the green check mark. So there we go. Good. And there's all this. I mean, you can read this. I guess it's good to read this, but again, this is only part of it. This is only one part of something that is more complicated. Again, yeah, process versus result, that's one aspect. Regularity versus something that happens only once. And then simultaneously, simultaneity, I think that's a word I've never used in English, versus sequence of actions that are happening in a sequential order. So those are all aspects of perfective versus imperfective. And again, you just kind of have to get used to this. I can't explain it all the way. You have to kind of get used to using it yourself. So, now, let's go ahead and study, let's practice a little bit. So, example, вчера я писал письма. So, yesterday I wrote, wait, what's письма? A letter, I think? Yesterday I wrote a письма, that is a, oh, letters. Yesterday I wrote letters. Versus yesterday I написал, yesterday I was writing 2 letters, и устал, and got tired, and was tired. Okay, so устал is also in imperfective form because I don't think you can finish being tired. You can say, I am tired, I'm being tired, but I don't think, is there such a thing as, or is устал actually, hold on, let me see, now I'm curious. Устал, if you look at Wiktionary, is there in fact such a thing as perfective and imperfective for устал? Oh. Looks like it is in fact perfective. So he finished getting tired. I guess there's a difference between getting tired and got tired. He finished getting tired, and so the process of getting tired was complete. I'm not sure if I'm interpreting that correctly, but that's how I interpret that based on what I understand from here. Anyway, okay, Mark, ты уже something отчет. So here, once again, we see a very obvious example from the dialogue. You already did something. So you already finished it. Finished aspect of write is написал. Mark, ты уже написал отчет? You already finished writing the report? Утром я something всю газету. Ничего интересного. So in the morning, I think he would say, I finished reading the newspaper. It sounds like he's not saying, I was reading the newspaper, but he says всю газету, the entire newspaper. So I guess he's saying he finished reading the entire newspaper. This should then be perfective, right? And so read in perfective is, let's look at the table here. Read in perfective is прочитал. So я прочитал всю газету. I finished reading the entire newspaper. Nothing interesting. Okay, on dolgo something televizor. He for a long time watched the television. So let's see, where's to watch here? Right at the top. So imperfective is смотреть, perfective is посмотреть. He looked at the television for a long time, but he didn't really finish it. I wouldn't say that he finished some process by doing that, unless somebody gave him a mission and said, your mission is to watch television for 2 hours. Then you could say he finished his mission. But I think it's not about finishing some task, but just saying he was watching TV for a long time. So that should be imperfective. So not посмотрел, but just смотрел. I believe that's correct. Didn't finish a process, just was doing something. Где ты something в субботу? Where were you on Saturday? Гулял and погулять. Yeah, гулять and погулять. It sounds to me like somebody would finish going for a walk. So you went for a walk, and then you finished going for a walk. Since this happened on Saturday, which is probably, it's in the past, because you can see by the L at the end of the verbs that this must be past tense. So it's saying, where did you walk on Saturday? I feel like this should be perfective because they finished walking. They finished the process of going on that walk. And so to me it should be погулять. Погулял, because it is a process that they finished. You could also say that they weren't really doing anything. They were in the process of, they were in the act of going for a walk. But that's interesting, actually. Let me just quickly check. Is this гулял or погулял? Let me find out, because I'm not too confident of my answer here. Yeah, it is гулял. Sorry, it is гулял. Okay, yeah, because so I interpreted that wrong. I mean, you can say, in English you could say, I finished walking, but the walk itself was not a task. So the walk was not a task or a job or some objective that had to get done. You're just walking around, and I mean, yeah, you can stop walking, but you don't really. It's not a process that was finished in this sense. So that's why I mistakenly thought, well, you can say, I mean, you stopped walking at some point, right? Yeah, but you didn't finish the job of walking because it wasn't a task that was set out before you. Okay. You can see how it gets confusing. Каждый день она something новые вещи. So every day she купит or покупает. Every day she buys a new вещи. What's вещи? Have we seen that word before? Let's see. Oh, stuff. Things. Every day she buys new things. Okay. Каждый день, it seems like a dead giveaway because this means it's ongoing. Remember one thing about, regularity. Imperfective is something that happens on an ongoing basis. It doesn't happen just once. It wasn't a task that got finished once. It's something that keeps happening and is ongoing. So that's a dead giveaway that it's imperfective. So this should be imperfective. So to buy something, where's buy here? Where is it? Here we go. There it is. So to buy, imperfective is покупать. So, покупает. Каждый день она покупает новые вещи. Every day she buys new things. It's an ongoing process. It's not done, and you don't expect it to ever be done. It's just something that continues happening. Вчера мы, so yesterday мы something смотрели or посмотрели этот фильм. Очень интересный, very interesting. So yesterday we watched this movie, and I would say that this should be something, this is something that happened only once. You're not likely to watch this, well, you may watch the same film again. If you really like the movie, you may watch the same movie more than once, but you just watch the movie once. It's not something that's continually happening, and it is something that you finished. You finished watching the movie, and so I'm going to say this should be perfective. So, смотрели or посмотрели, let's see, to watch something in perfective is посмотрел. So, notice the difference. So here we have something about someone watching television. Here we have something about someone watching a film. But this is imperfective because it's not a process that was done. The guy was just watching TV for a while, but he didn't get something done. Here they finished watching the film. And so that's why it's perfective. It is a task that got finished. And let me just double check just to make sure, because I'm also obviously not a native Russian speaker. I just want to make sure that I'm not making a mistake here. Let me just double check. So for the television, yes, the television is смотрел. It is смотрел and not посмотрел. And then for the film, yes, the film is посмотрел and not смотрел. So, okay, so I did interpret that correctly. Yes, so once again, so I'm actually correct about that. Television, not finished, just a thing that was happening, but he didn't, it's something that's, didn't just happen once. Whereas the film, we watched the film once, we finished watching it, perfective. Okay, когда она слушала or послушала, so when Anna listens to music, она писала письмо. Ooh, when Anna listens to music, she writes letters. Is that right? Oh, no, Interesting. So this can get very tricky because you could say that whenever Anna listens to music, she writes letters. Maybe some people have kind of a ritual like that. I mean, I could see that being a ritual or like a regular thing for people where, whenever they're listening to music, they decide to sit down and write a letter to one of their friends. But писала, I think this is a clue here. Писала is, писать. That's imperfective. So, if that's the case, if this is an imperfective, it would make sense that the other part should be imperfective as well. So to listen to слушать, so слушала and not послушала. Is that right? Hold on, let me check. Let me check what the answer is. I think this should be imperfective because the word писала is imperfective, and so it makes sense that the слушала should be imperfective to agree with that. I think that is correct. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's correct. So there are two ways that you could really interpret the sentence. You could say that When Anna was listening to music, maybe she was listening yesterday, she wrote a letter. So you could say Anna wrote a letter yesterday while she was listening to music. Then that would be perfective. She wrote a letter once, she finished, you don't expect it to happen again. But this is a bit different. This is saying an ongoing thing. This is saying that she was, whenever she does listen to music, she starts writing letters. So you kind of have to understand the context a little bit. And the verb makes it clear. I mean, you have to understand the verb implies something completely different. If you use the perfective verb, then that really does imply that it happened once. It implies that this was an event that happened once and it was a one-time thing, not a regular thing. If you use the imperfective verb, you really are implying that that Anna does this regularly. This is then explicitly made linguistically apparent by the language. You're actually stating that this happens regularly with Anna and not that it just happened once. So that's why it's important to get this right, because you could be implying quite different things depending on whether you use the perfective or the imperfective aspect of the verb. Now, друзья, весь вечер. So, говорил or, yeah. So, this is the words, where is it? What? Wait, what? To take? That should be to talk, isn't it? I think this should be to talk and not to take. Because yeah, говорить is to speak and сказать is to tell. So this actually matches up with English. If you say I speak, that is basically that's kind of an imperfective word in English, because if you say I speak about something, you might speak regularly. You might have a speaking tour where you go around and you talk about different things in different places. But to tell something, you don't usually regularly tell something. If you say I told you yesterday or I told him about it last week, that's a one-time thing. So this is basically why so говорить is imperfective and then сказать is perfective. This is why говорить translates well as speak in English and сказать translates well as tell in English. So coming back to our sentence here, друзья, something весь вечер. This means, what's весь вечер? Oh, весь is, in this case, a form of все, all, like the entire evening. So, okay, so the friends spoke all evening, or they talked all evening. Now, this is an interesting one because this is something that just happened once. They talked all night. It doesn't say that they regularly... So there's a difference between they talk all night and they talked all night. If you say in English they talk all night, that sounds like something that could happen regularly. You could say on weekends we get together and we talk all night. That's something that happens regularly. But if you say we talked all night, that sounds like it happened once and is not necessarily something that happens regularly. So here we have to very clearly understand what's being implied by this sentence. It sounds to me like this happened once. It sounds like they're saying all night. They talked all night as a one-time thing, but not necessarily something that they do on a regular or recurring basis. Let me just quickly check. Yeah, it is говорили. So, okay. So, yeah, so that's actually... Yeah, so there are a couple of ways that you could interpret that. You could say that it's either something they do regularly, or you could also look at it as saying, well, it's not a process. They didn't finish talking. They didn't reach some point where they said, okay, we've accomplished our goal of talking. They were just kind of talking aimlessly, not really going for any specific end goal or any process. There was no line that was drawn and said, here's where we finished the act of talking. So. Yeah, not really clear, is it? It's very it can be very subtle. Like I said, understanding these is very there's a lot of subtlety to it. Even after we went through these illustrations, still sometimes understanding the difference between perfective and imperfective is not easy for English speakers. It's certainly not easy for me. And if this is your first time being introduced to the idea, then don't feel bad if it's confusing for you. I think every native English speaker who has not studied this before will get confused by this at first. Каждый месяц мы what's платим? Is that here on the list? Pay. Oh, for the apartment. Okay. Every month we pay for the apartment, which is fairly typical for, when you rent an apartment, you probably pay your rent every month. Okay. And this is very obviously an ongoing process. You don't just pay once, you continue to pay for your rent, and you probably will continue doing it forever for as long as you rent an apartment. So that is very clearly imperfective. It's not a one-time thing, it's an ongoing process. So it's very clearly platit and not zaplatit. If you bought something once, you bought a car and I paid for the car, then that's a one-time thing. But you pay your monthly rent every month, that's obviously imperfective, so it's platim. Каждый месяц мы платим за квартиру. Every month we pay for the apartment. And finally, я уже делал, so I already did всю работу. Сейчас я иду домой. So, I already did all work. That is very clearly a finished process. I finished doing all my work, so it's perfective because it's done. I finished doing it, and funnily enough, they don't have that in this list here, but look at the dialogue again. What is where is it? Yeah, ты уже сделал. So сделал is perfective. I finished it. I finished doing it. So делал is doing it. Сделал is did it. Click on that, and there we go. And everything is correct. Very nice. So I made one mistake with something, and I got confused by a couple of things, but as it is now, these are the correct answers for this part, for this exercise. So very nice. That wasn't too bad. Like I said, it can definitely get confusing, but I think it's not too terrible. Once you get used to it, it's most of the time you can kind of get an idea of which one you want to use. There are a few cases where it's kind of dicey, where you're not really. I wonder if even native Russian speakers sometimes have problems with this. I think there may be some cases where even native Russian speakers sometimes say, "Hey, wait, should I use this verb or that verb? Should I use the perfective or the imperfective verb?" Sometimes maybe it's not clear even for native Russian speakers, but for the most part, once you get used to it, most of the time you can kind of get an idea of which aspect you want to use. So, we're already on the last exercise here, so not too bad. Some blanks to fill in. Каждый день Maria something почталова. So, complete the sentences with the correct personal form and aspect of the given verbs. Oh, I see. So this is the verb. Okay, so this is the verb, and you have to fill in each of these three boxes with that verb. So встречать, what does that mean? That is, as luck would have it, it's not in the table here. Hold on, let me see. Let me look it up. What is встречать? Oh, meet. Okay. Meet with someone. So, каждый день Maria. So this should be. This is obviously imperfective because it happens every day. So an ongoing thing is imperfective. So the tricky bit is conjugating it. If you don't know how to conjugate it, I guess you can look in in Wiktionary. I still have my Wiktionary window open, so let's go ahead and copy this into Wiktionary, and I will look up the conjugation for встречать. And yeah, see here it says IMPF for imperfective, and then in parentheses it says if you're looking for the perfective is встретить. So встретит is perfective, and then встречать is imperfective, which is what we want here. So, present tense, third person singular is встречает. So I'll go ahead and cheat a little bit and just copy and paste that, since we can see it's third person singular. It's она. She is doing it. She's one person doing it. So she встречает. Oh, let's take that accent off the A. Wiktionary puts that accent over the A so you can know which syllable you should put the accent on, but it's actually not usually used in written Russian, except for books for foreign speakers who need to learn where to put the spoken emphasis. Вчера она не something его. So that's a one-time thing. Yesterday she did not meet him. That's a one-time thing that just happened once. So hold on, let's come back here and let's look at the perfective. Встретит. And past tense. Hold on, where's... Here we go. Past tense. Yeah, feminine singular is встретила. This is past tense. So make sure you get past tense, feminine singular, and then it's встретила. She did not meet him yesterday. Again, let's get that accent off there. Она надеется, что завтра... So, она надеется, she hopes, что завтра, that tomorrow, снова встретит... Right, okay, so... Yeah, so it's встретит. Why is it встретит? Let's check here. Where do you use встретит? Oh, that's future tense. There we go. I see. So, right, because it's tomorrow. So she hopes что завтра. Завтра is obviously in the future. So future tense is встретит. There we go. I get it. Okay. So встретит is feminine, third person, future tense. So these three sentences say, every day Maria meets the postman, imperfective. Yesterday she did not meet him, perfective. She hopes that tomorrow she will meet him again, perfective. Wonder what she's doing with the postman. Is this like one of those setups for one of those porn movies where like the woman is waiting for the postman every day and she's like, oh, come inside. Okay. And here we have once again говорит and сказать, to speak or to tell. Vladimir всегда something со мной. Vladimir always speaks with me. So that's an ongoing thing. It's an ongoing process. So let's see what is the... how do you conjugate this word? See, once again, imperfective, and then it tells you the perfective is сказать or поговорить. So, Vladimir is doing something. Okay, so it's just говорит. Vladimir is doing it. He is. He talks to me every day, so it's current, not past or future tense, and and it's imperfective because it continues happening. It wasn't just a one-time thing. Но вчера он не something ни слова. But yesterday he did not say a word. So that's perfective. It was a one-time thing. Let's look up сказать here and see what is the past tense masculine for сказать. It's сказал. Он не сказал ни слова. Но я думаю, что завтра мы будем. But I think that tomorrow we will talk. And this is still сказать, I guess, because it's no, actually, I guess it's probably no. It's imperfective because It's not something they're going to finish. It's talking about the process of talking. It doesn't say that we're going to finish talking. We're going to start talking and then finish that act. It says we're going to continue talking. So we want actually the future tense. And there's no future tense for it. Instead, it's мы будем говорить. So for all of them, you conjugate the будет and then you just put говорит on the end. So мы будем говорить. Oops, wrong letter. There we go. Мы будем говорить. So Vladimir always talks to me, but yesterday he didn't say a word. But I think that tomorrow we will talk. So first is imperfective, second is perfective, third is imperfective. Moving on. Вчера Клара something новое платье. Yesterday Clara покупать or купит, so bought. Yesterday Clara bought a new dress. Платье is dress, I believe. So this should be perfective because she just did it once. Купит, do we have купит here? Oh, we do, but we need the conjugation. I need the conjugation of купит. So hold on, let's look in Wiktionary and see how do we conjugate купит. So we want past tense. Down here we have past tense. For a woman, feminine is купила. So should be. So we use купит because she did it just once. It was a one-time thing. We use the feminine past tense form of купит, which is купила. Вчера Клара купила новое платье. Она каждую неделю something новую вещь. She buys. So она каждую неделю, she every week. And then obviously here in this box we put buys. Новую вещь. So she every week buys a new thing. That's obviously imperfective because it's an ongoing thing. So let's look at the conjugation for покупать. Покупать is conjugated thus. So I guess present tense, yeah? Wait, no, those are participles. No, sorry. Here we go. Present tense for a third person is покупает. Она каждую неделю покупает новую вещь. She every week buys new stuff. And finally, но сейчас у нее нет денег, и завтра она ничего не... I think this is perfective because it's just happening once. So normally she buys something, but tomorrow she's not going to buy something. So I believe that is... I think that this is perfective because she's not going to finish the act of buying it tomorrow. It remains an ongoing process for her that she keeps buying stuff, but tomorrow as a one-time thing, as an exception, she's not going to buy it, and so it's perfective. So we go back to купить. And let's come back here to Wiktionary and look at how you conjugate купить. And we want future tense for a woman, which is just, or for a third person singular, which is just купить. There we go. I think this is correct. Yes, that is correct. So, first sentence is perfective. She did something yesterday as a one-time thing. Second sentence is imperfective because she's doing it every week. And then third sentence is again perfective because she's doing something once tomorrow, or not doing it. But even if you're not doing it, it still counts because it's not an ongoing thing. It's a one-time. It's something that happens once. It happens once that she doesn't buy it, and so that's perfective. Okay. Два дня назад, друзья. So 2 days ago, друзья, something прекрасный балет. Is it смотреть or посмотреть? 2 days ago, friends saw a beautiful ballet. This was something that happened once 2 days ago, and so it should be perfective. So we should use посмотреть and not смотреть. How do you conjugate посмотреть? Let's see. This is past tense because it happened a couple of days ago. So past tense, and remember here we have to use plural because it's friends. It's my friends. So my friends, come on. Why are you doing this, browser? Why is my browser being like this? Why gotta be like this, man? I just want to copy one word. I'm dragging my mouse over one word and it highlights like this entire line. What kind of nonsense is that? Okay, you know what? I'm just going to type it in. Posmotrieli. That's fine. Forget it. Screw you, browser. I'll just type it in by hand. Posmotrieli. Posmotrieli. Perfective. Сейчас они something театральную программу на март. Now they are... Okay. They're doing something now. If you're doing something now, I believe it has to be imperfective because... The perfective can only be used in the past or future tense, since the result can either be reached in the past or will be reached in the future. So anything that is happening now, anything that's in the present tense, is the perfective, since the present is still in progress. So it says сейчас, now they are doing something. So that's imperfective. So it's смотрит. So let's look at смотрит. And actually there's a link here. Yeah, imperfective is смотрит. Thank you. So imperfective is смотрит, and present tense for third person plural is смотрят. Смотрят. Сейчас они смотрят театральную программу на март. Okay. And final sentence in this part is у них есть билеты, и завтра они будут something оперу. So у них есть билеты, they have tickets. И завтра, and tomorrow, они будут something оперу. I feel like this should be I feel like this should be perfective because presumably they are going to finish watching the opera. So it's saying tomorrow they're going to watch the opera. That's something that they're just doing once. It's not saying that they watch the opera regularly, but tomorrow they're going to the opera. It's a one-time event, and I assume they're going to finish watching it. They're not just going to go and watch half the opera and then leave. They're going to finish watching the opera. But according to my notes, this is actually using the imperfective. And I can't explain why. So my apologies, I can't tell you why it is. I can just say that according to my notes, it's смотрят imperfective. У них есть билеты, и завтра они будут смотреть оперу. They have tickets, and tomorrow they're going to watch the opera. So, first sentence is perfective. 2 days ago they did something once. Second sentence is imperfective because anything that's being done right now is always imperfective. And then third sentence is imperfective for reasons that are not clear to me, because future tense can also be perfective, unless I'm terribly mistaken. But it says right here, perfective can be in past or future tense. So future can also be perfective. So I don't understand why this is imperfective. Can't explain why, but according to my notes it is. Sorry. Каждое утро, every morning, on something на работу, бутерброд. Брат and взят. So, брат and взят is... Brat is also brother, but that's a noun. And in this case, brat as a... Oh, I see. Oh, I see. They switched these around. Because remember I was saying говорит and сказать should be talk. To speak is down here. And then брат and взят is to take. So these two lines are mixed up here. To take is брат and взят, and to speak. So to take is брат and взят, and to speak is говорит and сказать. So the two columns on the right are correct, but the columns on the left are mixed up. They should be swapped. That's fine. That's not too terrible of a mistake. So, to take is брат and взят. Now, каждое утро, every morning, he takes на работу бутерброд. He takes a бутерброд, a sandwich, to work. So, this is obviously imperfective because it's something that happens every morning. So, it's imperfective. It's брат. And what is the... I think it's just on brat, isn't it? Hold on. Let's look up. Let's look it up. Let's look up on trusty old Wiktionary. How do you conjugate brat? Brat. Oh, good thing I looked it up. It's not brat at all. It's берет. Wow, that's getting pretty crazy. Он берет на работу бутерброд. Good thing I looked it up, otherwise I would have gotten really mixed up. Каждое утро он берет на работу бутерброд. Every morning he brings бутерброд to work. Но вчера утром он не something ничего. But yesterday morning he didn't bring nothing. He brought nothing. So that is a one-time thing that's взят. So let's look at how to conjugate взят. And we will want the past tense, because it happened yesterday. Past tense masculine is взял. Ooh, взял. Он не взял ничего. And вчера в магазине Вика something 2 килограмма яблок. Вчера в магазине, yesterday in the store, Vika took 2 kilograms of apples. Yesterday in the store, is Vika... Okay, first things first. This should be perfective because it happened only once. I'm going to assume that Vika doesn't take 2 kilograms of apples every day or on a regular basis. That would get a little crazy. So, I was already on взят. So this is взят, perfective, one-time event. Vika is probably... Is that a woman? It ends in an A. Usually names that end in A are women's names in Russian, so I'm going to assume that Vika is a woman, although I don't think I've ever heard of a woman named Vika, but let's assume that that's a woman's name. If that is a woman's name, then past tense for feminine would be взяла. Взяла. Вчера в магазине Vika взяла 2 килограмма яблок. Yesterday in the store, Vika took 2 kilograms of apples. The first sentence is imperfective because it happens on a regular basis. The second and third sentences are perfective because they happened once and are singular events not likely to happen again, or not expected to happen again within the framework of this sentence at least. And finally, we have делать and сделать. So сделать is did it, делать is doing it. Студенты всегда something домашнее задание. So the students always do something. Obviously, that's imperfective because it didn't just happen once. It's ongoing. They always do their homework. Ongoing process. It's делать. So present tense, third person plural, делают. Делают. Но сегодня они ничего. So, but today they didn't do nothing. They didn't do anything. Ooh, perfective. This is a special event. This is a one-time thing, which doesn't happen regularly. It's kind of surprising. Why didn't they do their homework? So, this is past tense. I mean, it says today, but I kind of... it's let's say past tense. I think it's past tense. Сделали, right? Yeah, I think it's... Why can't I copy and paste? All right, I'll just type it in. Sheesh. Сделали. Они не сделали ничего. But today they didn't do anything. And finally, завтра они будут something 2 задания. Tomorrow they will do 2 tasks. And I think this should also be... Again, I feel like this should be perfective because hopefully they will finish the tasks that they do. Hopefully, so it's a one-time thing. It's saying it's happening tomorrow, not on an ongoing basis, but just once tomorrow. Tomorrow they will do 2 tasks. So I feel like this should be perfective because you're hoping that they'll finish the tasks. But according to my notes, for whatever reason, it's imperfective. Can't explain why. Sorry, maybe somebody else can explain why. But according to my notes, this is actually imperfective, as if maybe assuming that they're not going to do it, or maybe saying that they will be doing. It's like you're saying tomorrow they will be doing 2 tasks, not necessarily that they will finish the 2 tasks tomorrow. So future tense, third person, budut делать. Budut делать. And everything was correct, and that was that. Ladies and gentlemen, that was lesson 29. As easy as that. So the forms, the conjugation and stuff is difficult because every verb, as you've seen, every verb has different conjugations. You do kind of need to use a dictionary, like Wiktionary, to see how each verb is conjugated, because otherwise how are you going to know, the difference between third person versus past tense masculine or past tense feminine or past tense plural. All that stuff gets very confusing. And then the core concept here, that the main concept of this lesson, perfective versus imperfective aspect, that is also very confusing, because even now you can see it's not really always quite clear. Why is it sometimes perfective and sometimes imperfective? You sort of get an inkling of it from the hints that they've given you here. Here. But this is still, I think, not really the alpha and omega of the whole subject. There's still more to it than meets the eye. I think there's still something going on here that I don't quite understand, and so don't feel bad if you don't quite get it either. I think there's some, like I said, a lot of the stuff you just sort of have to develop a feel for it over time as you start to. If you really start to practice this stuff, you'll start to get an idea of when to use one aspect and when to use the other. But don't worry about it too much for right now. This is just sort of an idea to keep in your mind. But it's not something that you have to really be perfect at, especially since every verb, you can see every verb has basically 2 verbs. Every verb, there's actually 2 verbs for, depending on whether it's done or being done. So Russian's not easy. There are a lot of things to remember, and yeah, like I mean, you can see here for each verb in Russian is basically not 1 verb but 2 verbs. So, yeah. Gosh, golly gosh. Anyway, that was lesson 29. The lesson itself wasn't too terribly difficult. But as long as you have a dictionary nearby to look up the different conjugations for the different verbs. But I'm not quite satisfied with our results here because I'm still a little bit confused about some points. But this was just an introduction, so hopefully at least you feel introduced to the idea. Hopefully you have some concept of what the difference is between perfective and imperfective. And later on we will... and actually, the sentence right here at the top. Вчера я читал газету, но не прочитал ее. So, читал is to read. That's imperfective. And прочитать is perfective. So basically, this is saying I читал the newspaper, I read the newspaper, but I didn't прочитал the newspaper. I didn't finish reading the newspaper. So I picked up the newspaper and started reading it, and I read some of it, but I didn't finish reading it. It's kind of an interesting illustration of the difference between perfective and imperfective tenses there. It sort of summarizes it in one sentence. Because again, sometimes in English it's not quite clear. If somebody says, I read that book, or I read that newspaper, you can say that if you read some of it. Maybe I read some of the book, but I didn't necessarily finish reading the book. But you can still say I read the book in the sense that I read part of it. So in Russian, this ambiguity is sort of cleared up by the fact that you use a different verb to say I read some of it versus I finished reading all of it. So there you go. That's part of this perfective and imperfective aspect. But again, that's not the whole thing. There's a little more to it than meets the eye. So that was lesson 29. And ladies and gentlemen, that is the end of an era, because from here, lesson 30 is going to be about directions and places. And then it's all about moving around. Here we are going to have no less than 10 lessons in a row about verbs of motion, because Russian uses different verbs for walking, for driving, for flying, for swimming, which makes sense because English does as well. I mean, in English there is a difference between I walked somewhere versus I drove somewhere or I rode somewhere. Those are all different verbs in English as well. But in Russian, verbs of motion are a little bit different because they also are impacted by this perfective versus imperfective aspect. Basically, each verb of motion usually has two forms. There's one for if you take a trip once versus if you take a trip regularly, and that is basically analogous to perfective versus imperfective aspect. So we'll see that as we start getting to these verbs of motions. So yeah, again, the next several lessons are going to be about verbs of motion, and we will be occupied with that theme for a good long time. So I think we've kind of gotten out of basic Russian now. I think we're well beyond elementary Russian and sort of getting into more complicated stuff for more advanced Russian learners. So if you followed me thus far and you've understood everything, then congratulations, folks. I think we can kind of say we're out of elementary Russian by now and starting to get into more, somewhat more complex stuff, more complicated stuff that's no longer, beginner's Russian. Don't know when. I don't really know if there's a clear line drawn between beginners and intermediate and advanced Russian. Maybe it's. I think the lines are kind of vague, but anyway, I think we're definitely getting into beyond beginner's territory here. So congratulations, folks. You have some kind of grasp. You have at least a beginner's grasp of elementary Russian at this point if you followed me thus far. So anyway. All right, folks, I'll sign off for now, and at some point in the future, hopefully, I hope to return with all these lessons about verbs of motion. I don't know if I'll do them right away because it's kind of daunting, and I myself, I don't know if I'm ready for it because, again, I'm not a native speaker myself, so I may take a bit of time off to get ready for some of these lessons, but I do hope to be back with more lessons in the future about learning Russian with Learning Russian. Until then, thanks for watching, everyone. I hope that you've enjoyed, hope that it's made some kind of sense, and I hope that you're all doing well. Thanks for watching, folks, and ta-ta for now.